The coffee maker hissed and sputtered in the quiet Seattle dawn. Marcus Reed stood at the kitchen counter watching dark liquid drip into the glass carafe. Each drop hit with a hollow sound that echoed in the stillness. Sunlight filtered through the window, rare for a Thursday morning in March, catching dust motes in its beam. On the refrigerator, a photograph clung beneath a magnet, shaped like the Space Needle. Marcus, his late wife Sarah, and baby Lily at Golden Gardens Beach. The edges had curled with time, the colors fading to something softer than memory. "Dad, are you making those weird shapes in my pancake again?" Lily's voice drifted down from upstairs. Marcus smiled and reached for the mixing bowl. "It's abstract art," he called back, pouring batter onto the heated griddle. "Very expensive in galleries." The pancake spread into something vaguely heart-shaped, lopsided, imperfect. Marcus studied it with the critical eye of someone who once dreamed of art school back before responsibility rewrote his future. Lily appeared in the doorway, 8 years old, and sharp as her mother had been. School uniform, already rumpled brown hair escaping its ponytail. "That doesn't look like a heart," she observed, sliding into her chair. "It's avant-garde. It's burnt on one side." Marcus flipped it onto her plate anyway. She attacked it with enthusiasm, syrup pooling in the uneven valleys. The radio on the counter played softly. A morning DJ's voice filtered through static. "Sometimes the best things in life come from our biggest mistakes." Marcus poured coffee into his travel mug, barely listening. 4 years. 4 years since the drunk driver ran that red light on Denny Way. 4 years of pancakes for 2 instead of 3. 4 years of moving through life in shades of gray, functional but not fully alive. His phone buzzed on the counter. A notification from Seattle Connect, the dating app his friend James had installed 3 weeks ago during a particularly aggressive intervention over beers. "You need to start living again, man. Sarah wouldn't want you like this." Marcus had resisted, then relented, then ignored the app entirely until last night when loneliness felt heavier than usual. Now there was a message from Jessica, Art Lover 29. "So, what are you really looking for?" Not the polite answer, the honest one. Marcus stared at the question while Lily finished her breakfast. What was he looking for? Connection, maybe. Someone who understood that grief didn't have an expiration date. Someone who could see past the carefully constructed walls he'd built around himself. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Gotta go, Dad," Lily announced, grabbing her backpack. "Mrs. Chen's waiting." Marcus walked her to the door, kissed her forehead, watched her run next door to the neighbor who provided before-school care. Then he returned to his phone and began to type. The message grew longer than he intended. Vulnerable. Honest about the loneliness that kept him awake at night. About missing physical intimacy, emotional connection. The simple comfort of being known by another person. He was editing the 3rd paragraph when his phone's alarm chimed. 8:15. The budget meeting started at 9. Marcus grabbed his laptop bag and headed for the car, the message still unfinished in his drafts. Seattle traffic moved in its usual sluggish rhythm. Rain began to fall as he merged onto I-5 light at first, then heavier. Windshield wipers beat a steady tempo. Marcus sat at a red light near Pike Place Market and pulled out his phone again. The message to Jessica waited. He read it over. Too much, probably. But honesty felt better than the carefully curated persona most people presented online. His finger hovered over send. The light turned green. A horn blared behind him. Marcus set the phone in the cup holder and drove on. Cascade Media occupied the 15th floor of a glass and steel tower overlooking Elliott Bay. Marcus badged in at 8:45, 15 minutes before the meeting. Enough time to grab coffee from the break room and review his quarterly numbers one last time. The office hummed with pre-meeting energy. People hurried past with laptops and nervous expressions. Budget meetings with Victoria Sterling were not casual affairs. Marcus had been creative director here for 6 years. He'd survived 3 CEOs, 2 major restructurings, and countless campaigns that pushed him to his creative limits. But nothing had prepared him for Victoria Sterling. She'd arrived 6 months ago with a reputation for turning struggling media companies into profit machines. The board had hired her to save Cascade from bankruptcy. She'd succeeded through a combination of brilliant strategy and absolute ruthlessness. People called her the Ice Queen. Not to her face, obviously. Marcus poured coffee and headed toward the conference room. Through the glass walls that seemed to be everywhere in this building, he could see her already seated at the head of the table. Blonde hair pulled back severely, charcoal suit cut with precision. She studied a spreadsheet, her expression unreadable. The cup in Marcus's hand trembled slightly. He took a breath and walked in. Victoria didn't look up. "You're 40 seconds late, Reed." "The elevator." "Rain isn't an excuse, it's Seattle." Marcus slid into his seat. Around the table, other department heads avoided eye contact. No one wanted to draw her attention. The meeting began. If you're enjoying this story of unexpected connections and second chances, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. We love hearing from you. Victoria Sterling ran meetings the way a conductor led an orchestra. Every department head presented their numbers in turn. She listened with absolute focus, asking questions that cut straight to the weakness in any argument. Marketing went first, then sales, then operations. Marcus was scheduled fourth. He half listened to the presentations, his mind wandering to the unfinished message on his phone. It sat in his pocket like a live grenade. He should delete it. The whole thing was too revealing, too desperate. But Jessica had asked for honesty. Marcus pulled out his phone under the table. The conference room's glass walls offered no privacy, but everyone was focused on the quarterly projections displayed on the screen. He opened the dating app and found his draft message. It needed an ending, something that didn't sound pathetic. His fingers moved across the keyboard, words about longing, about the specific emptiness of sleeping alone after years of shared warmth, about missing conversations that went deeper than small talk. He was crafting the final sentence when Victoria's voice cut through his concentration. "Reed, your Q3 numbers." Marcus's head snapped up. Everyone at the table was looking at him. "Yes, of course." He fumbled with his devices. Phone in one hand, tablet in the other. His finger swiped across the phone's screen, searching for the right app to close the message. Instead, he hit send. The soft whoosh of a delivered message seemed impossibly loud in his ears. Marcus stared at the phone's screen as a notification appeared. Message sent to Victoria Sterling. The words didn't make sense at first. He blinked at them, willing them to rearrange into something different. Some other Victoria Sterling, anyone else. But there was only one. The blood drained from his face. "Reed." Victoria's voice held an edge of impatience. "Are you joining us?" "Yes. Sorry. Technical difficulty." The words came out strangled. Marcus set his phone face down on the table like it had burned him. His hands shook as he picked up the tablet and pulled up his presentation. Numbers swam in front of his eyes. Revenue projections, conversion rates, client retention. He had no idea what he was saying. The presentation lasted 7 minutes. It felt like 7 hours. Marcus heard his own voice explaining the marketing department's performance, but it sounded distant, disconnected from his body. Victoria asked 3 questions. He answered them somehow. When he finished, she nodded. "Adequate, though the Nordstrom pitch needs refinement before next week's presentation." "Understood." Marcus sat down. His phone remained face down on the table. He couldn't bring himself to look at it. The meeting continued, finance presented, HR presented. Marcus heard none of it. His mind ran through the contents of that message in excruciating detail, the explicit descriptions of physical intimacy, the raw admission of loneliness, the vulnerable confessions about desire and connection, all sent to his boss, his terrifyingly competent, utterly professional, completely unapproachable boss. Marcus watched Victoria from the corner of his eye. She hadn't checked her phone once during the meeting. It sat on the table beside her notepad, screen dark. Maybe she wouldn't read it. Maybe she was one of those people who ignored work texts after hours. Except it was 9:30 in the morning, and Victoria Sterling didn't ignore anything. The meeting ended at 10:15. Marcus gathered his things with wooden movements, desperate to escape before Victoria discovered what he'd sent. "Read a moment." His heart stopped. Victoria was looking directly at him. Her expression revealed nothing. Around the table, other executives were packing up, chatting about their next meetings. No one paid attention to the exchange. "I wanted to discuss the Nordstrom timeline," Victoria said. "Can you have the revised pitch ready by Monday?" "Yes, absolutely." "Good, that's all." She turned back to her notes, dismissing him. Marcus fled. His office was a glass box like everything else in this building. No privacy, no place to hide. He closed the door anyway and collapsed into his chair. The phone in his pocket felt radioactive. Marcus pulled it out and stared at the screen. The message sat in his conversation thread with Victoria, flagged as delivered and read. She'd read it. During the meeting, she'd read a detailed sexual fantasy meant for a stranger on a dating app, and then she'd asked him about the Nordstrom timeline as if nothing had happened. Marcus opened the message thread and scrolled up, searching for any previous texts that might provide context. Make it less horrifying. Their last conversation had been 3 days ago. Victoria asking if he'd received the updated brand guidelines. His response confirming receipt. Professional, mundane, and now this. Marcus read through the message he'd sent. It was worse than he remembered. So much worse. He closed his eyes and let his head fall back against the chair. 4 years of careful rebuilding. 4 years of proving himself at this company, earning respect, creating a stable life for Lily. Gone. All of it gone because he couldn't manage to send a text to the right person. His phone buzzed. Marcus nearly dropped it. A new message. From Victoria. His thumb hovered over the notification. Part of him wanted to throw the phone into Elliott Bay. The other part needed to know what she'd said. He opened the message. The Nordstrom revisions should focus on the Q4 digital strategy. See attached notes. That was it. Professional, businesslike. No mention of the other message. Marcus stared at the screen until it went dark. Maybe she hadn't read it. Maybe the read receipt was wrong. He knew he was lying to himself. The rest of the morning passed in a fog of anxiety. Marcus tried to work on the Nordstrom pitch, but every word on the screen blurred together. He checked his phone compulsively. No new messages from Victoria. At noon, Derek from sales stopped by his office. "Hey man, saw you looked a little rough in the meeting this morning. Everything okay?" "Fine. Just didn't sleep well." Derek leaned against the doorframe. Through the glass walls, the office continued its usual rhythm. People moving between meetings. The coffee machine in the break room dispensing its endless supply of mediocre fuel. "Sterling's been on edge lately," Derek said. "Pushing everyone harder than usual. Don't take it personally." "I don't." "Good, because that Nordstrom account is huge. You land that and you're golden." Derek grinned. Maybe even golden enough to make the Ice Queen smile. Marcus forced a laugh that felt like swallowing glass. After Derek left, Marcus checked his phone again. Still nothing. 1 o'clock came and went. Then 2. Through his office window, Marcus could see Victoria's corner office across the floor. She moved between phone calls and meetings, a blur of controlled efficiency. At 2:30, she left for what looked like a lunch meeting. She still hadn't mentioned the message. Marcus allowed himself a small breath of hope. Maybe she'd decided to pretend it never happened. Ignore it as an embarrassing mistake and move on. He could live with that. Humiliating, but survivable. At 3, he had a meeting with his marketing team. They reviewed campaign metrics and discussed upcoming projects. Marcus contributed to the conversation on autopilot, his real attention focused on his phone. By 4, the hope had curdled into something worse. The not knowing was its own kind of torture. At 5, people began leaving for the day. Marcus watched the office empty out. Victoria was still in her corner office on what looked like another conference call. He should leave. Pick up Lily from Mrs. Chen's house, make dinner, help with homework, resume the normal Thursday evening routine. Instead, he sat at his desk and stared at his phone. At 5:45, Victoria ended her call. She gathered her things and left her office, moving toward the elevators with her usual purposeful stride. She didn't look in his direction. Marcus waited until she disappeared into the elevator before exhaling. The office was nearly empty now, just a few stragglers finishing up projects. Marcus packed his laptop and headed out. Seattle traffic was predictably terrible. Rain had returned heavier now, turning the evening commute into a crawl of red taillights and frustrated drivers. Marcus sat in the gridlock on I-5 and tried not to think about the message. He failed completely. By the time he pulled up to Mrs. Chen's house, it was nearly 7. Lily was waiting on the porch, backpack beside her, working on a drawing. "Sorry, kiddo, traffic was brutal." "It's okay, Mrs. Chen gave me cookies." They drove home through the rain. Lily chattered about her day at school, something about a science project on the water cycle. Marcus made appropriate noises of interest while his mind replayed the morning's disaster on an endless loop. At home, he made pasta for dinner. Lily set the table and talked about her friend Maya's upcoming birthday party. "Can I get her that art set we saw at the store, the one with the fancy markers?" "Sure, kiddo." "Are you listening, Dad?" Marcus looked up from the pot of boiling water. Lily was watching him with the too perceptive expression she'd inherited from Sarah. "Of course I'm listening. Then what did I just say about the birthday party? Something about markers." Lily sighed. "You're doing the thing where you pretend to listen, but you're actually thinking about work. Sorry, long day?" They ate dinner with the sound of rain drumming against the windows. Lily described the science project in detail, complete with hand gestures to demonstrate the water cycle. Marcus tried to focus on her words, instead of the catastrophic message sitting in his boss's inbox. After dinner came homework. Math problems that made Marcus grateful for elementary school curriculum simplicity. Then a chapter of reading from a book about talking animals. Bath time, pajamas, teeth brushing. The bedtime routine was comforting in its predictability. These small rituals had carried them through the worst of the grief 4 years ago. They still anchored him now. Marcus tucked Lily into bed and pulled out the book they'd been reading together. A fantasy story about a girl who discovered magic in her grandmother's garden. "Can we skip ahead to the good part?" Lily asked, "where she meets the dragon." "We're only on chapter 7. The dragon doesn't show up until chapter 12. "But the beginning is boring, all the setup stuff." "The setup is important. It's how you understand why things matter later." Lily considered this. Like in real life, exactly like real life. "Is that why you're sad, because of setup stuff?" Marcus closed the book. "I'm not sad, kiddo. You have your sad face on, the one you try to hide but can't." Sometimes having a perceptive child was inconvenient. "Just work stress," Marcus said. "Nothing for you to worry about." Mom used to say that worry is just love with nowhere to go. The words hit Marcus in the chest. He hadn't heard that particular Sarah-ism in years. She was right, he managed. She usually was. Lily snuggled deeper under her covers. I miss her. Me too. But it's okay to not be sad all the time. She told me that, before the accident. Marcus smoothed Lily's hair back from her forehead. When did she tell you that? Lots of times. She said life keeps going even when we don't want it to, and that's okay. Your mom was very wise. I know. Lily yawned. Are you going to be okay, Dad? Always. It was a lie, but a necessary one. Marcus read 3 chapters of the book, even though they normally only did 1. Lily fell asleep halfway through chapter 9, her breathing evening out into the soft rhythm of childhood rest. He sat on the edge of her bed for a while longer, watching her sleep. This was what mattered. Not careers or reputations or humiliating text messages. Just this. Keeping Lily safe and loved and whole. Marcus kissed her forehead and turned off the bedside lamp. Downstairs, the house felt too quiet. He poured a glass of water and stood at the kitchen sink staring out at the rain-soaked backyard. His phone sat on the counter. No new messages. Maybe Victoria really was going to ignore it. Pretend the whole thing never happened. Marcus could live with that awkwardness. He'd survived worse. The doorbell rang. Marcus checked his watch. 8:47. Late for visitors. Through the front door's peephole, he saw a figure on the porch. Blonde hair, dark with rain. A familiar silhouette. Victoria Sterling stood on his doorstep. Marcus's hand froze on the doorknob. She rang again. He looked back toward the stairs. Lily was asleep. The house was a mess. He was wearing sweatpants and an old Sounders t-shirt. None of this mattered. His boss was at his house. Marcus opened the door. Rain blew in with the night air. Victoria stood under the porch light, soaked despite the overhang. Her hair hung loose around her shoulders, darkened by water. She'd changed out of her work suit into jeans and a blouse. Mascara smudged slightly at the corners of her eyes. She looked nothing like the ice queen who'd run that morning's meeting. Ms. Sterling, we need to talk. Her voice was tight controlled. Now, I can explain. Can you explain how a creative director sends a detailed sexual fantasy to his CEO during a budget meeting? The words landed like punches. Marcus stepped back instinctively. It wasn't meant for you. Obviously. I was messaging someone on a dating app and I hit send on the wrong conversation. I figured that out. Victoria crossed her arms. No one who's worked with me for 6 months would have that kind of courage. A hint of something that might have been amusement flickered across her face, then vanished. I'm so sorry, Marcus said. It was completely inappropriate and unprofessional, and I understand if you want to fire me. I'm not here to fire you. You're not, no. They stood in the doorway, rain falling in sheets behind her. Victoria's jaw was tight. Water dripped from her hair onto the porch. Would you like to come in? Marcus asked. You're getting soaked. Victoria hesitated, then nodded. Marcus stepped aside. She walked past him, bringing the smell of rain and expensive perfume. In the living room's warm light, she looked both out of place and somehow right. I need to check on my daughter, Marcus said. She's asleep upstairs. Can you give me a minute? Of course. He took the stairs 2 at a time. Lily's door was still closed, her breathing audible through the gap. Safe, asleep, unaware that his boss was currently standing in their living room for reasons Marcus couldn't begin to understand. When he came back down, Victoria was studying the photos on the mantel. Pictures of Lily at various ages. A few of Marcus and Sarah from before. Victoria touched one frame lightly, then pulled her hand back as if caught doing something forbidden. "Your family?" she asked. "Yes, my wife Claire. She died 4 years ago." Something shifted in Victoria's expression. The hard edges softened. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. No reason you would." An awkward silence stretched between them. Marcus gestured toward the couch. "Please sit. Can I get you anything, water, coffee? I'm fine." But she sat anyway, perching on the edge of the cushion like she might need to escape quickly. Marcus took the chair across from her, maintaining distance. "About the message," he started. "The extremely detailed fantasy about physical intimacy," Victoria interrupted. "Let's be clear about what we're discussing." Heat flooded Marcus's face. "Yes, that, I'm mortified. I figured as much when you turned white during the meeting." She leaned back slightly, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. "For what it's worth, I believed you when you said it was meant for someone else. It was. A woman on a dating app. We'd been talking and she asked what I was really looking for, and I thought being honest would be refreshing, and then I sent it to you instead, and I've been having a panic attack for 12 hours. The words tumbled out in a rush. Victoria's mouth twitched. 12 hours is a long time to panic. You have no idea." She studied him for a moment. The Ice Queen mask had slipped further. In its place was something Marcus had never seen before. Vulnerability. "Do you know why I came to your house instead of dealing with this at the office?" Victoria asked. Marcus shook his head. "Because at work, I'm CEO Victoria Sterling. I have to be tough, unapproachable, always in control." She paused. "But that's not all I am. I don't understand. Your message." Victoria's voice dropped lower. Inappropriate as it was, it reminded me of something I'd forgotten. "What's that? That I'm still a woman, not just a boss." She looked down at her hands. "That I still have desires and needs beyond quarterly reports and board meetings." Marcus sat very still, afraid that moving might shatter whatever moment this was. "I'm divorced," Victoria continued. 5 years now. My ex-husband was an investment banker. Brilliant, ambitious, we looked perfect together. What happened? We forgot to actually be together. Too focused on careers, on climbing, on winning. Her laugh was bitter. I suggested couples counseling. He suggested an open marriage. Turned out he'd already implemented that particular policy without consulting me. "I'm sorry. Don't be. It was the best thing that could have happened." Victoria met his eyes. "But afterward, I built walls. Higher and higher. Told myself that being respected was enough, that I didn't need to be desired. And then I sent you that message. And then you sent me that message." She smiled, and it transformed her face. "The first time in years anyone has expressed that kind of interest in me, even accidentally." Marcus didn't know what to say. This conversation had gone in a direction he couldn't have predicted. "I still shouldn't have sent it," he managed. "Of course not. If you'd sent it intentionally, we'd be having a very different conversation." Victoria leaned forward. "But it made me curious about the man behind the marketing reports. The one who writes passionate messages and makes heart-shaped pancakes for his daughter. How did you know about the pancakes?" Victoria pointed to the refrigerator visible from where they sat. A drawing in Lily's handwriting. Daddy's heart pancakes with crayon illustrations. "You're observant." "I have to be. It's part of the job." She studied him. "You're something of an enigma at work, Marcus. Always professional, always prepared. But you keep to yourself. I've wondered about your story." "Not much to tell. Single dad trying to keep things together. And trying to start dating again." Marcus winced. That was new. "My friends think it's time." "What do you think?" The question hung between them, unexpectedly intimate. Marcus considered deflecting, But Victoria had been honest with him. Vulnerably, surprisingly honest. "I think it's terrifying," he admitted. "I haven't dated since college. Claire and I were together for 12 years. I don't know how to do this anymore, hence the overly detailed text messages to the wrong people." Hence that. Victoria's eyes held something that might have been amusement, or empathy, or both. "Can we please never speak of that message again?" Marcus asked. "I don't know if I can forget it. It was quite memorable." Was she teasing him? The Ice Queen was teasing him. "I'm going to die of embarrassment," Marcus said. "Don't." It was actually kind of nice. Nice to be seen as a woman someone might desire, even if it was accidental. Victoria stood. "I should go, it's late." Marcus stood too. "About tomorrow at work." "Nothing changes," she assured him. "This conversation never happened. You're still the creative director. I'm still the CEO. Thank you." She moved toward the door, then paused. "Except maybe one thing could change." "What's that?" Victoria turned to face him. Her professional mask was completely gone now. In its place was the woman who'd sat on his couch and shared her loneliness. "Maybe you could stop being so afraid of me at work. I've seen your ideas in meetings, the ones you don't speak up about until someone else suggests something similar. You're good at what you do, Marcus. I'd like to hear more from you. I can do that." At the door, Victoria hesitated again. Rain still fell outside softer now. "And maybe one more thing. Yes, that dating app clearly isn't working out too well for you." She smiled, and it was genuine warm. "Perhaps you'd consider a more direct approach. Dinner, maybe, not as boss and employee, as Victoria and Marcus." Marcus felt the floor shift beneath him. "Are you asking me out?" "I believe I am." Some of her boardroom confidence returned. "Unless that's a problem." 1,000 reasons why this was a terrible idea flashed through Marcus's mind. Office politics, power dynamics, the potential for disaster. But looking at Victoria, now seeing the woman behind the executive title, he found himself nodding. "I'd like that." "Good." She opened the door, then turned back with a mischievous expression he'd never seen before. "And Marcus, next time you write a fantasy about someone, double-check who you're sending it to." With that, she walked into the rain. Marcus stood in the doorway long after her car disappeared down the street, wondering if the last hour had actually happened. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from Victoria. "Friday, 7 p.m. I'll send you the address. Wear something casual." Marcus stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then he read it again. In the space of 12 hours, he'd gone from career-ending panic to a date with his boss. Life, apparently, still had the capacity to surprise him. Friday morning arrived wrapped in typical Seattle mist. Marcus woke before his alarm, staring at the ceiling and replaying Thursday night's conversation. Victoria Sterling had stood in his living room. She'd asked him out. None of it felt real in the gray dawn light. He made coffee and pancakes on autopilot. Lily appeared in the kitchen, already dressed for school. "You're humming," she observed. "Am I? You never hum." She studied him with her usual unsettling perception. Something happened. Nothing happened, just a good morning. Liar. Marcus flipped a pancake. It landed perfectly heart-shaped and golden. He stared at it, surprised. "See?" Lily pointed at the pancake. Something definitely happened. The morning passed in a blur of normal routines. Drop-off at Mrs. Chen's. Traffic on I-5. Arriving at Cascade Media with 15 minutes to spare. Marcus stood in the elevator watching the floor numbers climb. His reflection in the polished steel doors looked the same as always, but everything felt different. The elevator dinged, 15th floor. He stepped out into the glass and chrome landscape of the office. People moved between cubicles. The coffee machine hissed in the break room. Derek waved from across the floor. Through the glass walls of her corner office, Victoria sat at her desk. Blonde hair pulled back. Charcoal suit. Every inch the CEO. She glanced up as Marcus walked past. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Then she returned to her computer screen. Nothing had changed. Everything had changed. Marcus settled into his office and opened his laptop. The Nordstrom pitch needed work. He'd promised revisions by Monday. Focus on Q4 digital strategy, Victoria had said. He pulled up the presentation and tried to concentrate. The cursor blinked on a slide about consumer engagement metrics. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. Pike Place at 9:30. Coffee before the chaos. Marcus looked through his glass walls toward her office. She was on a phone call, gesturing with her free hand. Professional. Contained. He typed back, "I'll be there." At 9:15, Marcus grabbed his jacket and headed for the elevator. In the lobby, he texted his assistant that he'd be back in an hour. Then, he walked out into the Seattle morning. Pike Place Market hummed with early activity. Tourists snapped photos of the fish throwers. Vendors arranged flowers in rainbow bursts, the smell of fresh bread and salt water mixed in the air. Marcus found the coffee shop tucked between a cheese vendor and a flower stall. Through the steamed windows, he could see Victoria already in line. She'd changed into jeans and a sweater. Hair down. No one from the office would recognize her. He pushed through the door. The shop was crowded, warm, alive with conversation. Victoria turned as he approached. A smile flickered across her face, then settled into something more controlled. "Fancy meeting you here," she said. "What a coincidence." They both knew it wasn't. The line moved slowly. Around them, Seattle went about its Friday morning business. A couple argued about farmers' market vegetables. A student typed frantically on a laptop. An elderly man read the newspaper with methodical precision. "What's your usual order?" Victoria asked. "Caramel macchiato, extra whip." Her eyebrow arched. "That's not coffee, that's dessert. Life's bitter enough. Why drink it too?" Interesting philosophy. They reached the counter. The barista, a young woman with pink hair and multiple piercings, looked up from the espresso machine. "What can I get you?" "Espresso," Victoria said. "Black, no sugar. And you, caramel macchiato, extra whip." The barista rang them up. Victoria pulled out her wallet, but Marcus was faster. "I've got it." "This isn't a date," Victoria said. "This is just coffee." "Then consider it an apology for the world's worst text message." She laughed, actually laughed. The sound was unexpected, genuine. They waited for their drinks near the pickup counter. The espresso machine hissed and gurgled. Steam rose in clouds. "So," Victoria said, "tell me about this dating app disaster." "Can we not? I'm curious. What possessed you to write something that explicit to a stranger?" Marcus felt heat creep up his neck. "She asked what I was really looking for. I thought honesty would be refreshing." "And, was it? I never found out. I sent it to you instead, remember? How could I forget?" The barista called their names. Marcus grabbed both cups and handed Victoria her espresso. She stared at it for a moment. Then she set it on the counter. "Actually, can I change my order?" she asked the barista. "Make me a caramel macchiato. First time for everything." The barista grinned, coming right up. Marcus watched Victoria accept the new drink. She took a tentative sip, made a face, then sipped again. "This is ridiculous," she said. "I know. Way too sweet." "Yep, but kind of nice." They found a table outside despite the mist. The market stretched around them in organized chaos. A violin player set up near the flower stalls. The Pike Place pig gleamed bronze in the diffuse light. How long have you lived in Seattle? Victoria asked. 12 years. Came for art school. Stayed for a girl. The one in the photos. Sarah, yeah. Marcus traced the lid of his cup. We met freshman year. Got pregnant senior year. I left school to take a marketing job. Figured I'd paint on weekends. Did you? For a while. Then life got busy. Then she died and colors just felt wrong. Everything went gray. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Rain began to fall light and persistent. I'm sorry, she said finally. That's inadequate, but I mean it. Thank you. Do you miss it painting? Every day, but I couldn't do it. Not after. Marcus looked up. What about you? Did you always want to run media companies? God, no. I wanted to be a journalist, uncover truth, change the world. She smiled wryly. Then I discovered I was better at selling stories than writing them. First startup at 28 Right, I read your bio. You researched me. Everyone researches their boss. Fair point. Victoria sipped her too-sweet coffee. That startup crashed spectacularly. I lost everything. Moved back in with my parents at 29. Most humiliating year of my life. But you came back. Had to prove I could. Rebuilt from nothing, climbed, pushed, succeeded. She paused. Also, built very high walls. Walls keep you safe. They also keep you alone. The words hung between them. A street musician started playing something melancholy and beautiful. Tourists flowed past their table in waves. We should probably get back, Marcus said. Before people notice we're both gone. Probably. But Victoria didn't move. This was nice, just talking. It was. We should do it again. We have a date tonight. Right. She stood gathering her cup. 7 o'clock, I'll text you the address. They walked back through the market together, not touching, but aware of each other in the crowd. At the edge of the tourist section where the street opened toward downtown, they paused. See you at the office, Victoria said. Miss Sterling. Victoria. When we're not at work, it's Victoria. She disappeared into the Friday morning rush. Marcus watched her go, then checked his watch, 9:50. He'd been gone 35 minutes. It felt like longer. It felt like no time at all. Back at the office, Marcus threw himself into the Nordstrom pitch. Hours disappeared into slide design and strategy refinement. By noon, he had something solid. By 2, it was good. He sent the deck to Victoria's email with a simple note, revisions complete. Let me know if you need changes. Her response came 5 minutes later. Well done. We'll review Monday. Professional, appropriate. His phone buzzed again. A personal text. Wear the blue shirt tonight. The one you had on Thursday. Marcus smiled at his screen. At 3, Derek stopped by. You look happy, he observed. Win the lottery. Just had a productive day. The Nordstrom pitch, among other things. Derek leaned against the doorframe. You know you've been different lately, more confident or something. Have I? Yeah, it's good. Sterling's been riding everyone hard, but you seem less stressed about it. If Derek only knew. Just focusing on the work, Marcus said. After Derek left, Marcus allowed himself to think about the evening ahead. A real date. His first since Sarah. The familiar anxiety crept in. What if he'd forgotten how to do this? What if the conversation dried up? What if he said something stupid? What if it went well? That thought was somehow more terrifying. At 5, Marcus left the office. Seattle traffic crawled through its usual Friday evening gridlock. He picked up Lily from Mrs. Chen's and drove home through persistent drizzle. Can we have pizza tonight? Lily asked. I actually have plans. Mrs. Chen said you could have dinner at her place. Lily's eyes narrowed. What kind of plans? Just dinner with someone from work. Is it Ms. Sterling? Marcus nearly drove into the curb. How did you know that? You have the same face you had when you first met Mom. She showed me pictures once. You looked all nervous and happy. I'm not nervous. You're gripping the steering wheel really tight. Marcus loosened his grip. Okay, maybe a little nervous. That's good. Mom said nervous means you care. They pulled into the driveway. Lily grabbed her backpack and turned to him. You should wear the blue shirt. It makes you look less sad. How does everyone know about the blue shirt? It's a good shirt, Dad, obviously. Mrs. Chen came to the door when they knocked. She was a widow in her 70s, sharp-minded and endlessly kind. She'd been a lifeline after Sarah died. Lily tells me you have a date, she said with a knowing smile. News travels fast. She's excited for you, so am I. Mrs. Chen patted his arm. Go, have fun. Don't overthink it. Back home, Marcus showered and stood in front of his closet. The blue shirt hung between a gray one and a black one. He pulled it on. In the mirror, he looked like himself. Maybe slightly less exhausted than usual. His phone showed 6:30. The address Victoria had sent was a restaurant in Edmonds 40 minutes north. Far enough that they wouldn't run into anyone from the office. Marcus grabbed his wallet and keys. In the kitchen, he paused at the refrigerator. Sarah smiled at him from the old beach photo. Lily was a baby in her arms. They looked impossibly young. Wish me luck, he said to the empty room. The drive north took him along the coast. Elliott Bay stretched dark and restless to his left. Ferries cut through the water lit up against the evening sky. Rain fell in sheets, then cleared to mist, then fell again. The restaurant sat on the waterfront, a converted warehouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Sound. Marcus parked and checked his reflection in the rearview mirror. Presentable. Terrified, but presentable. Victoria was already there, seated at a table by the windows. She'd changed into a simple dress midnight blue, with her hair loose around her shoulders. Without the armor of business attire, she looked younger, softer. She saw him and smiled. Marcus crossed the restaurant, weaving between tables. His heart hammered against his ribs. You're early, he said. So are you. He sat across from her. Through the windows, the Sound stretched into darkness. City lights from Seattle glowed in the distance. You look beautiful, Marcus said. You sound surprised. Not surprised, just used to seeing you differently. The power suits and severe buns. That's CEO Victoria. This is just me. I like just you. The words came out more honest than he'd intended. Victoria's expression softened. A waiter appeared with the menus and water. They ordered wine without really looking at the list. After he left, silence settled over the table. This is strange, Victoria said. Good strange or bad strange. I haven't decided yet. Marcus laughed, and the tension eased slightly. They talked about small things first. The restaurant's history. Seattle's unpredictable weather. Safe topics that required no vulnerability. Then Victoria asked about Lily, and the conversation deepened. Marcus told her about the pregnancy that changed everything. Sarah's determination to keep the baby despite being 21 and broke. His decision to leave art school for a steady paycheck. Do you resent it? Victoria asked. Giving up your dream, sometimes. But Lily is the best thing I ever made. Better than any painting could be. You love her very much. More than I knew was possible. Victoria traced the rim of her wine glass. I never wanted children. My ex did, but I couldn't imagine fitting a baby into my career plans. He accused me of being cold. That's not fair. Maybe it was true. I was so focused on succeeding, on proving myself, that I didn't leave room for anything else. And now I wonder what I was trying to prove. And to whom? The waiter brought their meals. They ate slowly, conversation flowing between bites. Victoria told him about her first startup, the brilliant idea that should have worked, the investors who pulled out at the last minute, the crushing weight of failure. "I was sleeping on my parents' couch at 29, she said, answering "what do you do" at parties with lies about consulting work. It was humiliating. But you rebuilt. I had to. The alternative was accepting defeat. She set down her fork. I became ruthless after that, decided that being liked was less important than being respected. That vulnerability was weakness. Is that what you still believe? Victoria looked at him across the candlelight. I'm starting to question it. They shared dessert, a chocolate something that Marcus couldn't have named if asked. The restaurant hummed with Friday night energy around them, but their table felt separate, isolated in a good way. Tell me about Sarah, Victoria said. The question surprised him. Most people avoided the topic. She was an artist, a real one, not like me. She painted these huge abstract pieces that somehow captured emotion and color. Marcus smiled at the memory. We met in a coffee shop. She was sketching the barista. I asked if she'd sketch me. She said I had boring bone structure. Romantic. I knew right then I'd marry her. Because she insulted you. Because she was honest. No games, no pretense. He paused. We had 12 good years. Not perfect, but good. Then a drunk driver ran a red light and she was gone. I'm sorry. The hardest part wasn't losing her. It was watching Lily lose her mother. She was only 4, old enough to remember, young enough to not understand why Mommy wasn't coming back. Victoria reached across the table and took his hand. The gesture was simple, but it meant everything. You're a good father, she said. I'm trying. They left the restaurant around 9:30. The rain had stopped, leaving the night air clean and cold. Marcus walked Victoria to her car in the parking lot. I had a good time, she said. So did I. Better than your dating app conversations. Infinitely better. She leaned against her car door. The parking lot lights cast shadows across her face. Would you like to come to my place? Victoria asked. For coffee. Real coffee, not a euphemism. Marcus hesitated. Not because he didn't want to, because he wanted to too much. I should get back to Lily. Mrs. Chen has school tomorrow. Understanding crossed Victoria's face. Of course, your daughter comes first. That's one of the things I admire about you. Rain check, definitely. She stepped closer. For a moment, Marcus thought she might kiss him. Instead, she pressed her lips gently to his cheek. The spot where she'd kissed burned all the way home. Saturday morning brought rare sunshine. Marcus made pancakes while Lily chattered about Mrs. Chen's cat. Are you seeing Ms. Sterling again? She asked. Maybe. Would that bother you? Lily considered this seriously. Will she be nice to you? I think so. Then it's okay. She drowned her pancake in syrup. But I should meet her first, to make sure. That can be arranged. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. Seattle Art Museum, 2 p.m. Bring Lily if you want, totally casual. Marcus showed Lily the message. She wants to meet me. Lily's eyes went wide. Looks like it. What should I wear? Yourself. At 2 o'clock, they stood in the lobby of the Seattle Art Museum. Marcus had tried to dress Lily in something nice, but she'd insisted on her favorite jeans and a sweatshirt with a paint-splattered cat on it. Very artistic, Marcus had said. That's the point, Dad. Victoria appeared near the modern art wing. She'd dressed down in jeans and a sweater, but still managed to look elegant. When she saw them, her professional mask slipped into something warmer. You must be Lily, she said, kneeling to the girl's eye level. You're the coffee lady from Dad's office. Victoria laughed. "I prefer boss lady, more intimidating." "You don't seem scary." "I'm not, except in meetings." Lily pulled out her sketchbook, the one she carried everywhere. "Do you like art?" "I do." "May I see?" She flipped through Lily's drawings with genuine interest, pausing at each page. Landscapes. People. Abstract patterns that showed surprising sophistication for an 8-year-old. "These are wonderful," Victoria said. "You have real talent. Mom was the real artist. Dad just makes ads." Marcus made an exaggerated, wounded face. "Ads are art." "They're really not," Lily said solemnly. Victoria grinned at him over Lily's head. The expression transformed her face, made her look years younger. They toured the museum together. Lily asked questions about technique and meaning, her curiosity endless. Victoria answered thoughtfully, never condescending, treating the 8-year-old like an intellectual equal. Marcus hung back slightly, watching them interact. Lily grabbed Victoria's hand at one point, pulling her toward a sculpture. Victoria's surprise was evident, but she didn't pull away. In the contemporary wing, they stopped in front of a Jackson Pollock. Chaos frozen in paint and canvas. "Most people think it's just random," Lily observed. "But it's not," Victoria asked. "No, there's a pattern. You just have to look longer." Victoria glanced at Marcus. She's wise beyond her years. She gets it from her mother. They had lunch at the museum cafe. Lily ordered a grilled cheese and launched into an explanation of her science project. Something about cloud formation. Marcus had heard this explanation 17 times already, but Victoria listened like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. "Your dad must be very proud of you," Victoria said. "He is, but he worries too much." "About what?" "Everything. Me. Work, if he's doing okay." Lily stirred her lemonade with her straw. "Mom used to say he needs someone to challenge him, to make him remember life is supposed to be fun." Marcus felt his face heat. "Lily." "What? It's true." Victoria's eyes sparkled with amusement. "Your mom sounds like she was very smart." "She was. I miss her." "I'm sure you do." After lunch, they wandered through more galleries. Modern art gave way to classical paintings. Lily's energy never flagged. She danced between exhibits, pointing out details, asking questions. In a quiet gallery of landscapes, Lily suddenly grabbed both Marcus and Victoria's hands. She swung between them, humming to herself. Over her head, Marcus and Victoria's eyes met. It felt like family. The thought should have terrified him. Instead, it felt right. They left the museum around 4. Outside, the rare sunshine had given way to typical Seattle gray. "This was fun," Victoria said. "Can we do it again?" Lily asked. "Maybe you could come to our house for movie night." Marcus waited for Victoria to make an excuse, to retreat back into her safe distance. "I'd like that," she said instead. In the car driving home, Lily was quiet for once. "I like her," she finally said. "Yeah, she's nice, and she doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby." Lily looked out the window. "Do you like her?" "I do." "Good. Mom would like her too." The certainty in her voice made Marcus's throat tight. "How do you know?" "Because Mom always said you needed someone who could handle you being stubborn. Ms. Sterling seems like she can handle anything." Over the next month, Victoria became a regular presence in their lives. Movie nights on Marcus's couch. Sunday morning pancakes that Victoria attempted with varying success. Walks through Pike Place Market with Lily chattering between them. At work, they maintained strict professionalism. In meetings, Victoria pushed Marcus as hard as anyone else. She questioned his ideas, demanded excellence, showed no favoritism. But in the small moments there were changes. A brief smile when they passed in the hallway. an encouraging nod when he spoke up in meetings, a confidence in his work that hadn't been there before. Marcus started painting again. It began on a Sunday morning. Lily was drawing at the kitchen table. Victoria was attempting to make coffee without burning it, and Marcus found himself pulling out old supplies from the back of the closet. "What are you doing?" Lily asked. "I thought I might try painting something." Really. He sat up in the corner of the living room. Canvas, brushes, paint that had probably dried out years ago but somehow was still usable. Victoria appeared in the doorway, 2 mugs of coffee in hand. "You're painting?" "Trying to." "Can I watch?" Marcus hesitated. He hadn't painted in front of anyone in 4 years, but something about Victoria's expression, open and genuinely curious, made him nod. She sat on the couch while he worked. Lily joined her, both of them quiet. The first strokes were tentative, then bolder. Color bloomed on the canvas, not realistic, abstract, emotion translated into pigment. Blues of Seattle water, greens of Pike Place flowers, gold that might have been sunlight or Victoria's hair, red for passion, for courage, for risk. When he finally stepped back, 3 hours had passed. His hands ached, his shirt was paint-splattered. The canvas was alive. Victoria stood and moved closer. She studied it in silence, her expression unreadable. "It's beautiful," she said finally. Her voice was thick. "Marcus, it's beautiful. It's the first thing I've painted since Sarah died." "What changed?" He looked at her, at Lily, at the life they were building together in this paint-stained living room. Everything. That night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus and Victoria sat on the back porch. Rain fell softly, the Seattle Symphony neither of them could imagine living without. "I've been thinking," Victoria said. "About what? About us. About work. About complications." Marcus's stomach dropped. Here it came. The realization that this was too messy, too risky. "We should probably talk about disclosure," Victoria continued. "HR policies. How to handle the professional relationship. You've been researching company policy. I always do my homework." She turned to face him. "I want to do this right, Marcus. I want us to work, both at the office and here." "So do I. It won't be easy. People will talk. They'll assume things about favoritism and ethics. Let them talk. You say that now, but when it gets hard..." Marcus took her hand. "I spent 4 years playing it safe, not taking risks, surviving instead of living. You changed that. You in this ridiculous situation we stumbled into." The text message heard round the world. "Exactly." He smiled. "I'm not afraid anymore. Of what people think, of this being real, of losing again. You're not afraid of losing, terrified, but I'm more afraid of not trying." Victoria leaned against him. Rain fell around them in the darkness. "My ex used to say, I was too cautious," she said. "Too controlled, too afraid to just feel." "What do you think?" "I think he was right. I think I've been hiding behind professionalism and ambition because being vulnerable is terrifying. And now I'm sitting in the rain with a man who accidentally sent me pornographic text, and his daughter calls me the coffee lady. This is the least controlled I've been in years." Marcus laughed. "When you put it that way, it sounds insane." "It is insane." She tilted her head up to look at him. "But I don't want to go back to safe and lonely." He kissed her then. Soft at first, then deeper. 4 years of dormant feeling surging back to life. When they broke apart, Victoria was smiling. "We should get you inside," Marcus said. "You're getting soaked." "In a minute." She settled more firmly against him. This is nice. They sat in the rain, two people who'd built walls around their hearts, learning to tear them down. Together. Messy and imperfect and real. Inside, Lily's painting hung on the refrigerator. A new one. 4 stick figures holding hands. No one crossed out. No empty spaces. Just family. 3 months into their relationship, Marcus arrived at the office to find Derek and Shannon huddled by the coffee machine. They stopped talking when they saw him. The silence felt pointed. "Morning," Marcus said, reaching for a mug. "Morning," Derek replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Congrats on the Nordstrom approval. That campaign is going to be huge." "Thanks. The team worked hard on it." Shannon leaned against the counter, stirring sugar into her coffee with deliberate slowness. "Must be nice having such a close working relationship with the decision-maker." The words landed with calculated precision. Marcus's hand tightened on his mug. The campaign was approved on merit. "Of course it was," Derek said quickly. Too quickly. "No one's suggesting otherwise." "Yeah," Shannon added. "We all know how thorough Victoria is about evaluating proposals." The way she said Victoria's first name, casual and knowing, made Marcus's stomach turn. He left without getting coffee. Back in his glass office, Marcus sat at his desk and tried to focus on his screen. The Nordstrom presentation file was still open from yesterday. Solid work, innovative strategy, the kind of campaign that would have been approved regardless of who presented it. But doubt crept in anyway. Through the glass walls, he could see Derek and Shannon still talking by the coffee machine. Shannon gestured toward Victoria's corner office. Derek laughed. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "Morning, coffee later." He stared at the message. 3 months ago, that text would have made him smile. Now it felt like evidence. "Can't, busy day," he typed back. The morning crawled past. Marcus attended a status meeting where his ideas were met with polite nods and knowing glances. He ate lunch at his desk, avoiding the break room. Every conversation he overheard seemed to stop when he approached. Paranoia, probably. But the feeling persisted. At 2, he passed 2 junior designers in the hallway. Their voices carried in the echo of glass and chrome. "I heard they've been together for months. No wonder his projects get fast-tracked. Must be nice sleeping your way to the top." Marcus stopped walking. The designers didn't notice him standing around the corner, frozen. "I mean, the work is good," one of them continued. "But is it that good, or does he just have special access? Come on, you've seen how she looks at him in meetings. It's obvious." They walked away, voices fading. Marcus stood in the empty hallway, hands clenched. The Nordstrom campaign was good, better than good. He'd worked 60-hour weeks perfecting it. The strategy was sound. The creative was sharp. But was it good enough on its own, or had Victoria gone easy on him? The question burrowed into his brain and wouldn't leave. By 4 o'clock, Marcus had convinced himself that every approval, every positive comment, every successful pitch over the past 3 months had been tainted by their relationship. His work was suddenly suspect. His talent questionable. Years of building credibility undermined in whispers by the coffee machine. His phone buzzed again. "Victoria, you've been quiet today. Everything okay?" Marcus typed and deleted 3 responses. Finally settled on, "We need to talk. My office after 5, yes." The next hour was torture. Marcus watched the clock with the same dread he'd felt the day he sent that accidental text. Different crisis, same crushing anxiety. At 5:15, the office had mostly emptied. Marcus walked to Victoria's corner suite, his reflection multiplying in the glass walls that surrounded him. Victoria was on the phone. She saw him through the window and held up one finger. Wait. Marcus stood in the doorway watching her work. Professional, competent, completely unaware of the storm building in his head. She ended the call and gestured him in. Close the door. He did. The click felt final. "What's wrong?" Victoria asked. "You've been strange all day." Marcus paced to the window, then back. The city stretched below them, indifferent to office politics and personal disasters. "This isn't working." Victoria stood slowly. "What isn't working? Us, this, the whole situation." The words came faster now, pressure releasing. "People are talking. They think my work only gets approved because we're together, that I'm sleeping my way to success. Who said that? Does it matter? Everyone's thinking it." He ran a hand through his hair. "Derek made a comment this morning about my close relationship with the decision maker. Shannon practically winked when she congratulated me on Nordstrom. I overheard designers saying I get special access." Victoria's expression shifted. The warmth drained away, replaced by something harder, more controlled. "Your work is excellent," she said. "You know that." "Do I?" Marcus stopped pacing. "Or have you been going easy on me, approving things because of us instead of merit? That's insulting. Is it? Because right now I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if my ideas are actually good or if you're just being kind to your boyfriend." The word boyfriend came out harsh, almost mocking. Victoria's jaw tightened. "I have never, in my entire career, compromised professional judgment for personal reasons. Maybe not intentionally. But can you honestly say our relationship hasn't influenced your decisions even subconsciously? My decisions are based on data and strategy. Nothing else. That's what you tell yourself, but everyone else sees favoritism." Victoria crossed her arms. The CEO mask was fully in place now, cold and impenetrable. "So, what are you suggesting? I don't know. Maybe this was a mistake from the start. Maybe we were kidding ourselves thinking we could separate personal and professional." The word mistake hung in the air between them. Victoria's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Hurt quickly buried. "A mistake," she repeated. "Like that text message. Victoria, I didn't mean it like that." "Didn't you?" Her voice was ice. "Because it sounds like you're saying our entire relationship has been a professional liability you'd rather not deal with." "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying, Marcus?" He wanted to take it back, to explain that he was scared and insecure and struggling with imposter syndrome, that he loved what they had but couldn't handle the weight of everyone's judgment. Instead, he said, "I'm saying maybe we need to take a step back. Reevaluate. Reevaluate." Victoria's laugh was bitter. "That's corporate speak for ending things. I just need some space to think." "Fine." She turned to her computer, dismissing him with the gesture. "You have your space. Is there anything else? Victoria, please. Ms. Sterling. In this office, it's Ms. Sterling." She looked up at him and her expression was perfectly professional, perfectly empty. "Was there anything else, Mr. Reed?" The formality was a door slamming shut. "No," Marcus said quietly. "Nothing else." He walked out. Behind him, he heard the soft sound of Victoria's office door closing. Through the glass walls, he caught a glimpse of her reflection. She was standing at her window, shoulders rigid, staring out at the city. Marcus left the building and sat in his car in the parking garage for 20 minutes, engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel. What had he just done? The weekend arrived, wrapped in rain. Marcus went through the motions of normal life. Pancakes for Lily, laundry, grocery shopping. But everything felt muted, like watching his life through dirty glass. His phone stayed silent. No texts from Victoria, no calls. He checked it compulsively anyway. Sunday morning, Lily set the table for 3 people. When Marcus only put out 2 plates, she looked at him with those 2 perceptive eyes. "Where's Victoria?" "She's busy this week." "Is she coming for pancakes?" "Not today." Lily studied him. "Did you have a fight?" "Not exactly." "Then why does your face look like that?" "Like what?" "Like when Mom died. All gray and sad." Marcus sat down across from his daughter. Rain drummed against the windows. The kitchen that had felt so full of life a week ago now felt hollow. "Sometimes grown-up relationships are complicated," he said. "That's what people say when they mess up." Lily poured syrup on her pancake with careful precision. "Mom used to say you do that. Build walls when you're scared." "When did she tell you that?" "Lots of times, before the accident." Lily looked up at him. "She said you get afraid of being hurt, so you push people away before they can leave you." The accuracy of the observation hit like a physical blow. "She said it was her job to knock down your walls," Lily continued, "to remind you that love is worth the risk." Marcus's throat felt tight. "Your mom was very wise." "I know." Lily ate another bite of pancake. "So, is Victoria still your job, or did you push her away?" "I don't know, kiddo. You should probably figure it out. She makes you less gray." Monday morning, Marcus arrived at the office early. The weekend of silence had crystallized into certainty that he'd made a terrible mistake. He needed to talk to Victoria, to explain properly, to fix this. But when he reached his office, there was an email waiting, sent at 6 a.m. "Marcus, after consideration, I've decided to implement a review board for all creative department proposals. This will ensure objective evaluation and eliminate any perception of bias. Effective immediately. VJS. Professional. Distant. Absolutely clear." She was putting up walls of her own. The week unfolded in painful slow motion. At work, Victoria treated Marcus with perfect professional courtesy. She attended meetings where he presented. She asked thoughtful questions. She provided constructive feedback, but the warmth was gone. The small smiles, the brief moments of connection. All of it erased. They were boss and employee again, nothing more. Marcus tried to text her Tuesday evening. "Can we talk?" No response. Wednesday morning he caught her in the hallway. "Victoria, please, 5 minutes." "I'm late for a call, Mr. Reed. Send me an email if you need something work-related." She walked past him like he was a stranger. By Thursday, the pain had settled into a constant ache. Marcus moved through his days on autopilot. Work, Lily, sleep, repeat. He tried to paint Thursday night, sat in front of a blank canvas for 2 hours. Nothing came. The colors looked wrong. Flat. Dead. He put the brushes away. Friday afternoon, Derek stopped by his office wearing an expression of false sympathy. "Hey man, I heard you and Sterling had a falling out." Marcus looked up sharply. "Where did you hear that? People talk. She's been ice cold in meetings all week, and you look like someone kicked your dog." Derek shrugged. "Just wanted to check if you're okay." "I'm fine." "Good, because honestly, probably for the best. Office relationships never work out. Too complicated." After Derek left, Marcus sat in his glass office and watched Victoria through her glass walls. She was on a video call, gesturing with controlled precision. Every inch the CEO. No sign of the woman who'd sat on his porch in the rain, who'd laughed at Lily's drawings, who'd tried to make pancakes and failed spectacularly. That woman was gone, or locked away. Either way, Marcus couldn't reach her. Saturday dragged. Sunday was worse. Lily stopped asking about Victoria, but she drew a picture that she left on Marcus's desk. 4 stick figures. One of them was being erased. Monday of the second week, Marcus made a decision. He arrived at the office at 6:30, an hour before Victoria's usual arrival. In his bag, he carried two things: a printed screenshot of the original accidental text message and a note he'd written and rewritten a dozen times. Victoria's office was locked. Marcus left his offering on her desk, visible through the glass door. Then he went to his own office and waited. 7:30 came and went. Then 8. Marcus watched through the glass walls as Victoria arrived. She saw the items on her desk and stopped. For a long moment she just stared at them. Then she picked up the note and read it. Marcus couldn't see her expression from this distance. Couldn't tell if she was angry or moved or indifferent. She set the note down, looked through her glass walls toward his office. Their eyes met across the expanse of chrome and glass that separated them. Victoria picked up her phone. Marcus's buzzed a second later. "My office, now." He walked across the floor, aware of early arriving employees watching. Rumors would be flying by noon. He didn't care. Victoria stood by her window when he entered. The framed text message sat on her desk. Next to it, his note. "Close the door," she said without turning around. Marcus did. The silence stretched. Outside, Seattle was waking up. Rain streaked the windows. The city moved in its usual rhythm, indifferent to their small drama. "I received your note," Victoria finally said, "and your dramatic gesture with the text message. I wanted you to remember how this started." "How could I forget?" She turned to face him. Her expression was guarded but not entirely closed. "Do you know what I thought when I first read that message? After the initial shock?" Marcus shook his head. "I thought, this is a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to express it, even if he sent it to the wrong person." She moved to her desk, touching the framed message lightly. "I found that incredibly attractive. And now I'm looking at a man who's afraid of what other people think, who's willing to throw away something real because of office gossip." Her voice was hard. "That's not the same man." "You're right," Marcus said. "I let fear take over. I let other people's opinions matter more than what I know to be true, which is that what we have is real, that my work stands on its own merit, that you've never compromised your professional judgment." He took a step closer, "and that I'm an idiot for suggesting otherwise." Victoria's expression didn't soften. "You hurt me, Marcus. I opened up to you in ways I haven't with anyone in years, and at the first sign of difficulty you called it a mistake. I know, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it. And tell me what will." She looked at him for a long moment. Rain fell harder outside, blurring the city beyond the glass. "I've spent 6 years building walls," Victoria said quietly, "telling myself that being alone was safer than being vulnerable. Then you came along with your accidental text and your heart-shaped pancakes and your daughter who sees everything. You cracked those walls, Marcus, and it terrified me. I know the feeling. But I let you in anyway. I took the risk, because I thought you were worth it." She crossed her arms. "Then you proved my walls were justified all along." The words cut deep because they were true. "I was scared," Marcus admitted, "of losing you, of failing Lily, of not being good enough." He moved closer. "I've spent 4 years playing it safe, not taking risks, building my own walls. Then you came along and suddenly everything felt dangerous again." Dangerous. In the best possible way, terrifying and exhilarating and completely worth it. He stopped a few feet from her. "I let the fear win for a moment, but I'm not scared anymore." "What changed?" "Lily. She reminded me that her mother used to say I build walls when I'm afraid, that I push people away before they can hurt me." Marcus smiled sadly. "Apparently, it's a pattern. Smart kid. Too smart." He took a breath. She also said you make me less gray, that I was gray for 4 years until you showed up. And she's right. Victoria's armor cracked slightly. I missed you. I missed you too, and Lily. She kept asking when you were coming back for pancakes. I'm not very good at making pancakes. I know, it's part of your charm. A hint of a smile touched Victoria's lips. Then it faded. What about the office, the gossip? All the things that made you panic a week ago, let them talk, Marcus said. Let them think whatever they want. I know the truth. My work is good because I'm good at what I do, not because of who I'm dating. And if the talk continues, then we handle it together, professionally and appropriately, with HR disclosures and review boards and whatever else we need to do. He reached for her hand. But I'm done hiding, done pretending this doesn't matter, done letting fear make my decisions. Victoria looked down at their joined hands. You really hurt me. I know. I'm so sorry. If we do this again, really do this, I need to know you won't run at the first sign of difficulty. I won't, I promise. How can I trust that? Because I'm here, Marcus said simply. I could have let it end, accepted the wall you put up, moved on, but I'm here, fighting for this, for us. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then she looked up at him, and her eyes were wet. I don't want to be alone anymore, she whispered. You're not alone. You have me, and Lily, and a whole life we're building together. It's messy. Life is messy. People will talk. They already are. My board will have opinions. They always do. Victoria laughed, and it broke the last of the tension. You're impossible. You like impossible. I really do. She kissed him then, right there in her CEO office with the glass walls and the city spread below them. Kissed him like she meant it, like she was choosing risk over safety. When they broke apart, Victoria rested her forehead against his. I'm still angry with you, she said. I deserve that. And we have a lot to figure out, HR, policies, how to handle this professionally. We will. And you're taking me to dinner tonight, somewhere nice, to apologize properly. Anywhere you want. And you're bringing Lily for Sunday pancakes. She'll be thrilled. Victoria pulled back slightly to look at him. No more running. No more running, Marcus promised. No more walls, just us. Messy and complicated and real. I can work with that. Through the glass walls of her office, the early morning employees were starting to arrive. A few glanced toward Victoria's office and quickly looked away. They're all watching, Victoria noted. I know. Should we give them something to talk about? What did you have in mind? Victoria walked to her office door and opened it. Then she turned back to Marcus and kissed him again. Longer this time. More deliberate. When she pulled away, the entire floor was staring. There, she said. Now they have confirmation. Marcus laughed. You're going to get HR calls all day. Worth it? She straightened her jacket back to CEO mode. Now get out of my office. Some of us have work to do. Yes, Ms. Sterling. Victoria, she corrected. When we're not in meetings, it's Victoria. Marcus left her office with a lightness he hadn't felt in 2 weeks. The employees who'd been watching quickly pretended to be busy. He didn't care. At his desk, he found an email from Victoria. Time stamped from 60 seconds ago. Dinner at 7, the waterfront place, and bring your appetite. I'm still angry and you have a lot of apologizing to do. P.S. I love you, even when you're an idiot. Especially when you're an idiot. V. Marcus read it 3 times. Then he typed back, I love you too. Thank you for giving me another chance. Her response came immediately. Don't waste it. He wouldn't. The waterfront restaurant looked different at night. String lights reflected off the dark water of the Sound. Inside, candles flickered on white tablecloths. Marcus arrived 10 minutes early and immediately regretted it. Waiting gave him too much time to think. He ordered water and watched the door. 7 o'clock came, then 7:05. At 7:10, Victoria walked in. She'd changed into a dress the color of deep water. Her hair fell loose around her shoulders. Every head in the restaurant turned to watch her cross the room. She only looked at Marcus. "You're late," he said as she sat. "I'm the boss. I can be late." Fair point. The waiter appeared with menus and wine recommendations. Victoria ordered for both of them without consulting Marcus. He didn't mind. Control was her comfort zone. He could give her that. After the waiter left, silence settled over the table. Through the windows, ferries moved across the Sound like lit buildings on water. "You said you had apologizing to do," Victoria prompted. "I do. A lot of it." "I'm listening." Marcus set down his water glass and met her eyes. "I panicked. I let other people's opinions matter more than what I knew to be true. I questioned your integrity and mine. I hurt you, and I'm sorry. That's a start. I'm not finished." He leaned forward. "For 4 years, I played it safe. I didn't date, didn't take risks, didn't let anyone close enough to hurt me. Then you showed up and everything changed. Because of an accidental text message. Because of you. The message was just the catalyst." He smiled. "You saw me. Really saw me. Not the grieving widower or the responsible single dad. Just Marcus. The person I'd forgotten I could be." Victoria's expression softened slightly. "And it terrified me," Marcus continued. "Because being seen means being vulnerable. And being vulnerable means risking loss. I've already lost so much. So you pushed me away first. Yes, it was stupid and cowardly, and I regret it completely." The waiter brought wine. They waited in silence while he poured, presented, retreated. "I built walls too," Victoria said after a moment. "After my divorce, I told myself that being alone was better than being betrayed again. That professional success was enough. Was it? No, but it was safer." She traced the rim of her wine glass. "Then you sent me that ridiculous message, and I realized I was lonely, that I'd been lonely for years. I'm sorry for making you feel that way. Don't be. You made me feel seen too. Like I was more than just the Ice Queen CEO. Like I could be soft and still be strong." Marcus reached across the table. After a moment's hesitation, Victoria took his hand. "I love you," he said. "I should have said it sooner. Should have said it louder. Should have made sure you knew it before I let fear convince me to run." Tears welled in Victoria's eyes. "I love you too. Even when you're an idiot. Especially when I'm an idiot. Don't push your luck." They laughed, and the tension finally broke. Dinner arrived. They ate slowly, talking about everything and nothing. Victoria told him about a board meeting that had gone sideways. Marcus shared a story about Lily's latest school project, a diorama about the solar system where she'd made Saturn's rings out of pool noodles. "She's very creative," Victoria said. "She gets it from Sarah." Victoria squeezed his hand. "She gets it from you too. You're painting again. Because of you. Because you let yourself." They shared dessert, a chocolate thing that was too rich and perfect. The restaurant slowly emptied around them until they were one of the last tables. "I don't want to go home yet," Victoria admitted. "Neither do I." They walked along the waterfront after dinner. Rain had cleared, leaving the air cold and clean. Streetlights reflected off wet pavement. In the distance, Seattle glowed against the night sky. "Remember when we sat here on our first date?" Marcus asked. "You said this was strange." "It was strange. It still is. Good, strange, or bad strange?" Victoria stopped walking and turned to face him. "The best strange." Marcus pulled her close. She fit perfectly against him, her head tucked under his chin. "I'm sorry I hurt you," he said into her hair. "I know. I'm sorry I shut you out. I deserved it. Maybe, but I could have handled it better." She pulled back to look at him. "We're going to fight again. We're both stubborn and scared and carrying baggage." "I know. And work is going to be complicated. People will always have opinions. Let them." "You say that now. I mean it now." Marcus cupped her face in his hands. "I spent years being gray. You brought color back. I'm not giving that up again, not for office gossip or fear or anything else." Victoria kissed him, long and deep and full of promise. When they finally pulled apart, she was smiling. "Take me home. Your place or mine, yours. I want to see Lily in the morning, apologize for missing pancakes." They drove back to Seattle in comfortable silence. Victoria's hand rested on Marcus's knee. The city lights blurred past in streaks of color. At home, the house was dark except for the porch light Mrs. Chen always left on. Marcus unlocked the door quietly. Lily was asleep, of course. It was nearly midnight. "Coffee?" Marcus offered. "Real coffee or euphemism coffee. Dealer's choice." Victoria smiled. "Real coffee. I want to be awake for this." They sat at the kitchen table with mugs of decaf. Rain started again soft against the windows. The house creaked and settled around them. "This feels right," Victoria said. "Being here with you. It does. I'm still nervous about work, about managing the professional boundaries. We'll figure it out. HR disclosures, review boards, whatever it takes. And when people talk, we ignore them, or we address it head-on, together." Victoria sipped her coffee. "I've been thinking about that, about how to handle the optics. And I think we should tell people, officially, no more hiding." Marcus set down his mug. "You want to go public? I want to be honest, file the proper disclosures, let HR know. Make sure everything is above board." She met his eyes. "And I want to make it clear that your work is evaluated fairly, that there's no favoritism. The review board you set up covers that. It's a start, but I think we should be transparent. Let people judge the work on its merits, but don't give them room to speculate about us. You've really thought this through." "I've thought about nothing else for 2 weeks." Victoria reached for his hand. "I want this to work, Marcus. All of it. Work, and us, and the life we're building. But I want to do it right." "Okay, we'll do it your way." "Our way," she corrected. They finished their coffee and went upstairs. Marcus checked on Lily, who was sleeping with her arms wrapped around a stuffed otter. He pulled her blanket up and kissed her forehead. In his room, Victoria borrowed one of his shirts. They lay in bed, her head on his chest, listening to the rain. "I miss this," she whispered. "Me too. Promise me something. Anything. Next time you get scared, talk to me. Don't run, don't build walls, just talk. I promise, same goes for you. Deal." They fell asleep, tangled together, safe in the knowledge that some mistakes were worth making. Some risks were worth taking. Some walls were worth tearing down. Morning arrived with Lily's voice from the hallway. "Dad, Victoria's car is in the driveway," Marcus groaned. Victoria laughed against his shoulder. "I should have parked down the street," she said. "Too late now." Lily burst through the door, then stopped short when she saw them. "You're back," she said to Victoria. "I'm back." "Good. Dad was super sad without you. Like really sad. Lily, Marcus protested. What you were. She climbed onto the bed between them. Are you staying for pancakes? Victoria looked at Marcus. He nodded. I'm staying for pancakes, Victoria said. Yay. Lily bounced on the mattress. Can you try to make them this time? Last time you made blob pancakes. Hey, those were abstract art. They were blobs. Victoria laughed and pulled Lily into a hug. Over the girl's head, her eyes met Marcus's. Everything they needed to say passed in that look. Welcome home. I love you. This is real. Downstairs, Marcus made coffee while Victoria attempted pancakes under Lily's critical supervision. The kitchen filled with the smell of burnt batter and laughter. You're supposed to flip it before it gets black, Lily instructed. I'm trying. Try harder. Marcus leaned against the counter watching them. Color and life and family. Everything he'd thought was lost forever. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. Stop staring and help me before I burn your house down. He joined them at the stove. Lily narrated the pancake-making process like a cooking show host. Victoria burned 2 more before getting one that was merely dark brown instead of charcoal. They ate breakfast together at the table. Syrup, laughter, planning the day. Normal, perfect, real. Monday morning, Marcus arrived at the office to find an email from HR. Victoria had filed the relationship disclosure over the weekend. By 9 a.m., everyone would know. He was making coffee when Derek found him. So, it's true, you and Sterling. It's true. Derek studied him. Man, that's bold. Dating the boss. We're being transparent about it. HR knows. There's a review board for my work. Still, people are going to talk. Let them. Shannon appeared in the doorway. I heard the news. Congratulations. Thank you. Must be serious if you're going through official channels. It is. Shannon and Derek exchanged glances. Marcus waited for the judgment, the snide comments, the implications. Instead, Shannon shrugged. Well, good for you. You've seemed happier lately. Makes sense now. Really? Yeah. I mean, as long as the work stays fair, who cares who you date? She poured coffee. Plus, Sterling is terrifying. Anyone brave enough to date her deserves respect. After they left, Marcus stood alone in the break room, surprised. Maybe it wouldn't be as bad as he'd feared. At 10, Victoria called an all-hands meeting. The entire company assembled in the main conference room. Speculation ran rampant. Emergency meetings were never good news. Marcus stood in the back watching Victoria take the podium. She was every inch the CEO, powerful, composed, absolutely in control. Before we begin quarterly reports, she said, I have an announcement. The room went silent. As many of you already know, Cascade Media has policies regarding workplace relationships. These policies exist to ensure fairness and prevent conflicts of interest. People shifted in their seats. Marcus saw Derek whisper to Shannon, I'm here to formally disclose that Marcus Reed and I are in a personal relationship. We've filed all appropriate paperwork with HR. Moving forward, Marcus's work will be evaluated by an independent review board to ensure objectivity. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Victoria's voice cut through them. However, let me be absolutely clear about something. The room quieted again. The Nordstrom campaign was approved because it was brilliant. Marcus Reed is one of the most talented creative directors I've worked with in 20 years. Any suggestion that his work succeeds due to our personal relationship insults his talent and my professional judgment. She paused, letting the words sink in. I don't tolerate gossip or speculation about professional matters. If anyone has concerns about fairness or conflicts of interest, bring them to HR, officially. Otherwise, I expect you to focus on your work, not your colleagues' personal lives." Her eyes scanned the room, landing briefly on Derek. "Are we clear?" Murmurs of agreement. "Good. Now, let's discuss Q3 performance." The meeting continued with financial reports and strategic updates. Marcus barely heard any of it. His heart was still racing from Victoria's defense. When the meeting ended, people filed out in small groups. A few employees caught Marcus's eye and nodded. Supportive, accepting. Not everyone, but more than he'd expected. Victoria was gathering her materials when Marcus approached. "That was quite a speech," he said quietly. "Someone needed to say it. Thank you. I meant every word." She looked up at him. "Your work is excellent, Marcus, with or without me." An older woman from accounting stopped by. "Ms. Sterling, I just wanted to say I think it's wonderful. It's nice to see you happy." Victoria blinked surprised. "Thank you, Margaret." After Margaret left, Victoria smiled at Marcus. "Well, that went better than expected. You were terrifying and perfect. I know." They maintained a professional distance the rest of the day, but the tension was different now. Not hidden, not shameful, just managed. At 5, as people were leaving, Victoria stopped by Marcus's office. "Dinner tonight?" she asked from the doorway. "Can't. Lily has a school thing. Tomorrow. That works." She smiled and walked away. A dozen people saw the exchange. None of them commented. Progress. The weeks that followed fell into a new rhythm. Work remained work. Victoria pushed Marcus's ideas hard, questioned his strategies, demanded excellence. The review board evaluated his proposals with rigorous objectivity. His work held up. Better than held up. It thrived. At home, Victoria became a fixture. Sunday pancakes, movie nights, homework help. She and Lily developed their own relationship separate from Marcus. Art museum trips, shopping for school supplies, conversations about things Marcus wasn't privy to. It felt like family. 6 months after the reconciliation, Marcus woke to rare Seattle sunshine. February had been brutal, all rain and gray. But today light streamed through the bedroom windows. Victoria was already awake, scrolling through her phone. "Morning," he mumbled. "Morning. Lily's asking if we can have pancakes for dinner." "She asked you." She texted me directly. "Apparently, I'm in the family group chat now." Marcus smiled and pulled her closer. "How does that feel?" "Terrifying. Perfect. Right." They got up and went downstairs. Lily was already at the kitchen table working on a drawing. "What are you making?" Victoria asked. "Family portrait for art class." She held it up. 4 stick figures. Marcus, Lily, Victoria. And in the corner, slightly faded Sarah. "Mom's still part of the family," Lily explained. "Mrs. Chen says people we love never really leave us." Victoria's eyes went wet. "That's beautiful, sweetheart." Marcus started the coffee maker. The familiar hiss and drip. Victoria leaned against the counter beside him. "I have something for you," she said. "Oh." She pulled out her phone and showed him a photo, his painting the abstract one he'd made months ago. Now professionally framed and lit, hanging in what looked like a gallery. "What is this? I had it framed properly. Certificate of authenticity and everything." "Victoria, you didn't have to." "I wanted to. It's the moment everything changed for both of us." She swiped to another photo, the painting with a small plaque beneath it. He squinted at the screen. "The Mistake," he read. "By Marcus Reed. 2 on the nose. Perfect." The doorbell rang. "I'll get it." Lily jumped up and ran to the door. She returned, pulling a delivery man with a large flat package. "Delivery for Reed," the man said. Marcus signed for it, confused. He hadn't ordered anything. Open it, Victoria urged. He unwrapped the package carefully. Inside was his painting, newly framed in museum-quality materials. The colors seemed brighter, more alive. "It's really at a gallery?" he asked. "My friend owns a small space in Pioneer Square. She's featuring local artists next month. I may have pulled some strings to get you in." "Victoria, what you're talented. People should see your work." Lily examined the painting. "It's good, Dad. Really good." They hung it in the living room right above the couch. It dominated the space, alive with color and emotion. Marcus stood back and looked at it. Really looked at it. For the first time in years, he saw his own work without the cloud of grief obscuring it. It was good. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Sarah's mom. Lily sent me a photo of her family portrait. Thank you for including Sarah, and thank you for being happy again. She would have loved Victoria. We do too." Marcus showed Victoria the message. She read it and wiped her eyes. "Damn," she said. "I promised myself I wouldn't cry today. Too late." They spent the day together, all three of them. Pike Place Market in the morning. Lunch at the tourist trap restaurant Lily loved. A walk along the waterfront. Normal family things, ordinary and extraordinary. That evening, after Lily was in bed, Marcus and Victoria sat on the back porch. Rain had returned, soft and persistent. Seattle's lullaby. "I've been thinking," Victoria said. "Dangerous. I'm serious." She turned to face him. "My lease is up next month. Okay? And I've been spending most nights here anyway." Marcus's heart started beating faster. "That's true. So I was thinking maybe I should just move in, officially, if that's something you'd want." "Are you asking to move in with me?" "I'm asking if you'd like me to move in with you. Us. This family." She gestured to the house behind them. "I want to be here all the time, not just visiting." Marcus pulled her into his arms. "Yes. Absolutely yes. Yeah. Yeah. Lily will be thrilled. She's been asking when you're going to bring your stuff over. She's very perceptive." They sat in the rain planning logistics, where Victoria's furniture would go, how to combine their lives, the beautiful mundane details of building something permanent. Inside, Marcus's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. He ignored it. Later, when they went in for the night, he checked the messages. One from James, his friend who'd forced him to download the dating app. "Heard through the grapevine that you're officially living with your boss, the same boss you accidentally sent that sex message to. I expect full credit for your happiness since I made you get the app." "Drinks next week," Marcus showed Victoria. She laughed. "Should we tell him it was the best mistake you ever made? He already knows." They went upstairs. In bed, Victoria curled against him. "Happy?" she asked. "Ridiculously happy." "Me too." Outside, rain fell on Seattle. Inside, Marcus Reed was finally completely home. The next morning was Sunday. Marcus woke to the smell of burning pancakes. He found Victoria and Lily in the kitchen, both covered in flour, laughing hysterically at a pancake that had somehow ended up on the ceiling. "How did that even happen?" Marcus asked. Victoria tried to flip it. Lily gasped between giggles, and it just kept going. "I may have used too much force," Victoria admitted. Marcus looked at the pancake stuck to the ceiling, at the flour covering his kitchen, at the two people he loved most laughing themselves silly. Color, life, joy. Everything he'd thought was lost forever. He grabbed a spatula and joined them. Together they made a dozen more pancakes. Most were edible. A few joined the first one on the ceiling. They ate breakfast, surrounded by chaos and laughter. Syrup everywhere. Coffee in chipped mugs. Lily's chatter about school and friends, and the pool noodle solar system. Through the window, rain cleared to reveal a rainbow arcing over the Seattle skyline. Rare and beautiful. Marcus's phone sat on the counter, forgotten. Next to it, Victoria's showed a new wallpaper. A photo of the three of them at Pike Place Market, Lily between them, all of them laughing. Family. On the refrigerator, Lily's new drawing hung with a magnet. 4 figures holding hands. No one crossed out, no empty spaces, just love and life and second chances. Some mistakes, it turned out, were the best things that could happen to a person. Some walls were worth tearing down. Some risks were worth every terrifying, beautiful moment. Marcus looked at Victoria across the pancake-covered table. She smiled at him, and it was everything. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "That I'm grateful for autocorrect failures and bad timing and the courage to try again. That's very specific. I'm a creative director. We're detail-oriented." Lily groaned. "You two are so gross." "We know," they said in unison. And they were happy. If you've enjoyed this story of second chances, unexpected love, and the courage to risk your heart again, we'd love to hear from you. Hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us that sometimes our biggest mistakes lead to our greatest happiness. Drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Are you Team Accidental Text Message? Let us know. Thanks for being part of this journey with Marcus, Victoria, and Lily. Until next time, remember that love is always worth the risk.